Hello, it is time for us to talk cross-stitch with the Stitching Owl. Welcome and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. If you're new, I hope you'll stop for a moment and see if there is something that you like about my presentation and stitching. If you are returning, thank you so much for giving me something very precious, your time. The community within Flosstube is incredibly important to me, and as such, we become family to each other. I hope that the past 2 weeks have been good on a personal level as well as a stitching level. I am recording a day late due to a weekend full of time needed for the family. The busy weekend has reduced my time for doing my normal set of fully finishing, but I gave a try this morning at a few of those ornaments. I want to say thank you to Kathy and Karen of Stitching Past My Bedtime for the shout out that they gave me recently. They are a fun pair who, oh, there's the pup. Their videos are actually by Zoom because they don't live in the same area. They are people who actually met at a retreat and had an instant bonding that has developed into a true friendship that you can feel it as you watch them. Now, if you want to watch them, you need to be prepared to laugh because they really are great at having hilarious moments and just in general, not just being able to make us laugh, but if something silly happens to themselves, they can laugh at themselves too. They are fine stitchers and they don't always stitch the same thing, so you get quite a variety in one video. So Jessie Marie Does Stuff and the Sunshine City Stitchers have inspired me to check out a few stats now that I am keeping track of what I am doing with all of my stitching better. Now I'm only able to do this because I'm using the planner, the cross stitch planner by Lori of My Crazy Life on YouTube. And of course I forgot to bring it, but I am using this to track what I'm stitching each day and how many stitches I stitch if the pattern is in Pattern Keeper. So far in 2024, I have not missed any days of stitching. There are new challenges in place now at the Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge on Facebook, as well as Laura's Stitching by the Shore on Facebook, her 10-step challenge. I'm going to post my goals on Facebook and on Instagram for everyone to see. I think I will use a more normal layout for my floss tubes and simply alert you when something stitched has fulfilled a challenge rather than starting to list off all of the prompts the way I did with Bringo. I'm finding this great fun and a great way to use the stitches I already have to achieve more progress. So feel free to hop onto Facebook, both of these groups. It's just a matter of answering a few questions and you are in. I myself don't use YouTube to post pictures of family and career and things. I actually only joined it for the stitching community and have found it completely safe. So if you are hesitant at all, my experience has been good. So the challenges have helped me to get more stitches and in some cases start new projects. In January, I touched 12 projects. In February, I touched 14 projects, with 8 of them carrying over from January. 2 ATC cards have been completed and have been on the way to Laura for her Artist Trading Card Challenge. It was the winter challenge this time. I believe it was about a week ago. She posted a video of all 118 cards that came in for this challenge. Really very inspiring and a lot of fun to just watch card after card. No two were absolutely identical. I'm having fun putting in 2 cards each time, and this time I actually remembered to take a picture of the cards before I put them in the mail. So when I get my cards, I'll be able to show you what I sent out. So that's cool. So far in 2024, I have 27 fully finished items, keeping in mind that 7 of them are Quaker ornaments and 9 of them are Prairie Birds. So when I'm listing projects, I'm counting Prairie Birds as 1 project and 1 dozen Quakers as 1 project, but each ornament or mini pillow is an individual fully finished because they go to different people. Although I must admit, so far I haven't sent off any of the little pillows. So I like to have at least as many finishes as my age in a year. So I'm on my way, but I am a dinosaur, so I've still got quite a few to go. My mother asked me last Friday what I was doing with all of these things, because at least every other week I exchange the ornament that is at her place and to give her something new in her surroundings. So I explained a little bit about our stitching community and about my Send a Smile program, and that I really don't have that many of them still at home. So I want you to know that it brings me great joy to share with you and with my fellow Flosstubers the ornaments. Sometimes when we are making these, we are hesitant to gift because we don't know how they will be received and whether their work will be recognized. When I send them to you and to other Flosstubers, I know that they are appreciated and that the work is recognized. Now, speaking of Send a Smile, an envelope did go out last week, but a week ago today, and on Friday I was alerted that the envelope had arrived and it did cause smiles. Now, it happens that the envelope arrived right after the Sun City Stitchers had finished their video of last week. They post every second week, and so they said they are expecting to share what I sent in 2 weeks' time. And this is an example of I forgot to take a picture before I sent them out. So you will have to watch the Sun City Stitchers next video in order to see what my Send a Smiles were. I do watch the Sun City Stitchers every time they post, and I like to make comments, and they are always quick to reply to my comments. I was part of Stitching with Sandi's February swap. The theme was bunny. Our assignment is to stitch something that is 6 inches or smaller and to send it out by March the 1st. So I did send out a bunny, and I had shown it. I believe I've got a picture that I can pop in right here. I did receive an Instagram direct message that the package had arrived on Friday and that she was very pleased with what she received as well. Now, we are not restricted to only sending the stitch. We can make a package. Sandi will be uploading a video that actually shows all of the elements that were swapped, and I encourage you to look at that and maybe join us next time. Now, I'm going to tell you that last week I had an entire box arrive, and I was puzzled because I hadn't actually ordered anything, and I wasn't really expecting a full box when it came to an exchange. But yes, I was totally spoiled by Deb, and she sent Heron Rabbit designed by Wandering Stitches. So it's got this little frame, it's got a beautiful felt backing that makes it look so professional. I love those tulips. My daughter saw this and thought that she liked it too. So she gave me a little stand for it to sit in on my coffee table. I have a spray of tulips that sit within that stand, which I thought was absolutely a lovely inclusion. Everything was individually wrapped, and my youngest, who lives with me, we looked at one and went, I think there's a chocolate rabbit in here. And I'm actually kind of allergic to chocolate, so it was whisked away in no time flat because my youngest does enjoy eating chocolate well away from me. Well, it wasn't too long later when she returned, said, I tried to take a bite. Mom, it's not chocolate. So this is added to my scene on my coffee table, along with an absolutely gorgeous card. And it turns out that I've actually also received from Deb one of her ATC cards in the fall trade. And then Deb also, I kept unwrapping. It was absolutely wonderful. Oops, I'm just going to open this up. I had a little bag, and of course, I've got a bunny needle minder. Absolutely adorable. And then Deb is fully aware that I experiment with different closures and things on my, my ornaments. So she gave me 3 more options to play with. So, wow. So Deb, thank you so much. I wasn't feeling great that day, and it perked me right up. You made me smile. Oh, let's get to some stitching. Fully finished items. Well, we are going to return to this particular pattern, 1 Dozen Quakers by Rosewood Manor. So EJ and Shelia of the Sunshine Stitchers are hosting a Bake Me a Quaker Sal, and have this divided up so that over 13 months you can complete a full Rosewood Manor. Apparently EJ has started a number of Rosewood Manors but never managed to complete one, so she thought this would be a great way to go forward. And I remember on their last video, Shelia commenting that she thought EJ was farther already with this particular pattern than she was with her other Rosewood Manor. So that means hosting a sale is working, and I am truly sorry that I wasn't able to attend the Zoom the other night. It is always fun to Zoom with that group. Now, I had shown you the stitches and had mentioned, let me see, that I was making these reversible. So if I turn them around, they're the same. And that I was doing that, and I was going to, when I sent these as a Send a Smile, encourage people to use these as sun catchers because you'd be able to see the pattern whether you were inside or outside the window. Well, one particularly caring subscriber made a comment that I really needed to pause and think about. The comment referred to the fact that if somebody left these as a sun catcher in direct sunlight for any length of time, there could be some fading of the color. So I think that I won't suggest that because I had not thought about this, and she's right. Thank you so much, by the way. I don't know what the fade factor is on sulky threads, but I think we need to assume that any thread over time can be affected. So they will stay ornaments. So you will notice that yes, I beaded all along the side. I did different beading for each one. These are not identical colors. This is a purpley color and this is more rose. And if you're noticing that I remembered the year on one and not the other, you are right. So I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to be able to attach the year now. I am not going to use any glue. I'll see if it's possible. If not, there'll be another differentiation between the two ornaments. They will be sent in the same envelope to an address with 2 stitchers. So those were the last ornaments to be stitched on my dirty porcelain 32 count linen from Roxy Floss Co. I actually got a lot of ornaments out of my piece. They all were using sulky 12 weight thread because I can use just one thread. Now, going on to another fully finished, Peter's Stay Out by Lindy Stitches was a freebie that I got my hands on following the Superb Owl event. Lindy Stitches is not only a designer, but she's also a Flosstuber, and I encourage you to check her out because she has a fabulous sense of humor, and when she and her husband are together, you can tell that they have a lot of fun kibitzing. I just find her very, very entertaining, but her designs are also amazing. She's particularly interested in animals, and so am I. So for my Peter's Day Out, I used Tangerine 32 count Lagana. I did use 2 strands of DMC floss for this. I was guided by the colors on the pattern, but I didn't want to pull any of my DMC bobbins from projects that already were nicely together. So I just used whatever I had from stash. Yes, I did do some beading and remembered the 2024 charm. Peter's Day Out is already at my mother's, so there's going to be a picture. I'm sure I took one. And my other fully finish is, of course, not going to be a surprise because it's the Prairie Birds by Prairie Schooler. We suspected that I was going to get 3 more finishes, And that's what I was busy doing this morning before I started my video. Now, 2 of them are pillows and 1 of them is an ornament, a flat ornament. I think I mentioned last time that I wasn't sure how it happened, but I had miscounted something in my hummingbird and I had either more flowers or taller flowers. The size wasn't going to match the other pillows, so I think I'm going to restitch it to have the full set of pillows, but I do have the ornaments. So here's my hummingbird flat. Now these, you'll see I use beads for the hangers, but I don't add extra beading because I just don't feel it is necessarily quite the right thing for this style. Here are my cardinals. I seem to have filled him puffily enough that he hasn't the same shape as this. Maybe I shouldn't have worried about that shape. And then here are, I think these are my Orioles. So all of these are, of course, done with my split back. And at this point, I have not sewed the back envelope closed because I was running out of time and wanted to be able to do this and upload it and get it to you before the end of the day. So in my fully finishes, I have 3 plus 2, 5 ornaments completed. I will be looking for another Prairie Schooler Smalls set to stitch. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Now, if we go on with something I've finished, here we go. You probably are not going to be surprised that the first one is the 10th Prairie Bird, and it's the Bluebird. So this actually has quite a bit of stitching in it. I like the fact that one of the things that happens with these Prairie Birds is there's different shapes within the set, so that if you decided you wanted to have a spring tree, you had cohesiveness and variety all at the same time. So the good news is that I have actually finished stitching all of my 12 by 12 New Year's Eve starts, and I have fully finished 9 out of 10. We know I will fully finish the 10th one for next time. I'm just trying to use the fabric in such a way that I have more than one to cut out of the piece of fabric to finish. My other 2 finishes are March Quakers that haven't quite made it. I know Sandi will be expecting to see me fully finishing and beading these next time that we have a Zoom. So each month I am doing a different Quaker. So let's see where I am on this one. So I'm using this without putting the extra fluted flower there. Now, I was looking at this one and going, that's a little guy. So either I need to stitch it on a bigger count, or I need to play with this to make it big enough to be an ornament. So there may be some Karen modifications to these tinier ones so that they can be used as completely as these other ones that were bigger. So you can see that at this point, if I hold this close, this is an aqua Lagana with white dots on it. It is not polka dots that are evenly spaced. They're just sort of random, like raindrops. I do have to, like this one was my first one. If I hold it up close, you can see that there are some Smyrnas. but they are fading into the fabric. So I'm going to need to really think about the color combinations that I use so that these ornaments are a little bit more vibrant the next time. It isn't the thread, it's just the combination of the color of thread that I put on that color. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment to highlight K Threads and Stitches. Clearly a Flosstuber who has been at it for a while, and for whatever reason, the videos have not been fed into my stream, even though they should have been. She has many fully finished items. You know that I like fully finishing, so I'm fascinated when somebody else likes to finish as many things as I do. So her items are adorable. I hope you'll have a peek at K Threads and Stitches. And now for whips, works in progress. Works in projects. Well, I guess it's almost true too. Now, the winter cardinals are no longer going to be seen because I have completed them enough. If I fully finish that, I will bring it back to show you my fully finish. I have sent the picture to Instant Cross Stitch. They are thrilled, and they would like me to do another pattern for them that is bigger, but that is in Pattern Keeper. They would like me to test out Pattern Keeper for them. So I have agreed to do this, and I will maybe have something to show you the next time. I'm just waiting to see when they're going to drop the pattern to me. I have found them fun to work with, and people who listen. Under the Stars by Modern Folk Embroidery is a work in progress, and it will be for many months. It has had some stitches added to the center, but I have to admit it was more 1 thread a day than 2 threads a day. So yes, I got this area going. I want to be able to get this in, bring this down, finish this little thing. So hopefully I get a good go at this center piece, because until I get that done, I'm not sure how I'm going to do the rest of this. It may be that I will simply mirror this beneath it, and that will be what the piece is. Of course, then what I would want to do is to take those motifs that I didn't use of Modern Folk of Jacobs, and then I would stitch them on something else, maybe singly, because his motifs are absolutely beautiful. So, as before, this is being stitched on a 32 count even weave. It is a Lugana Blue Moon Lugana. I love the modeling here. I felt that the title of the material and the look of it was perfect for Under the Stars because it was night-like. The thread is a variegated sulky thread, 1 strand over 2 threads. Dragon Keeping Time by Maria Brovko has been great fun. Last time I told you that I was aiming for 5% per week, but it's a smaller stitch. It only has like 14,000 stitches, and I've actually kind of gotten used to the bigger pieces being bigger. And so I've ended up with more than that. My goal is to do like 100 to 200 stitches a day. And I am stitching with 2 strands of DMC on Rumbling Thunder by Pell Stitches Design. Now, my goal this time was to try to get this pattern such a way that you'd be able to recognize that I was doing a dragon, and that the beginning of the shape of the timepiece would be starting to come through. So here's my rumbling thunder. You can see the face of the dragon here. I'm not sure, do dragons have paws? But I think feet. And then here you can see my timepiece beginning. It's almost like this dragon is prehistoric with some of the ridges and things of the dinosaurs of the past. It's actually pretty cool, and this eye is on fire. So I have completed 4,129 stitches, which means that I'm at 28% already. This is over a quarter done. And it was almost double the amount that I thought I would be getting done for you today. I am stitching this for the Year of the Dragon Sal that is being run by Samantha the Huga Stitcher and Erika of Fibers and Floss Canada. There are many, many dragons being shown on Instagram. If you check out that particular hashtag, Year of the Dragon Sal, you will see many things. Will you see them all? No, because Instagram has messed with it. Maybe it's just me, but when you pick out threads at Michael's, do you find yourself going through everything and at the end having at least one or two skeins that they don't have there? We are finding this to be a consistency at the Michael's near me. Whether I'm going or my husband is going for me, there's always missing colors. And I have definitely noticed that other people, whether they're in Canada, like Stitching on the Rock, or in the States, they're making the same comments that they have to visit multiple Michael's stores and at a Hobby Lobby or a Joann's in order to get all their colors. Well, if you want to go at it a little bit differently, instead of visiting 3 or 4 stores to get your colors, put DMC to DMC conversion into Google. The first suggestion that comes up is a website called Threadbear Decom. And this particular website, they have a whole bunch of numbers, and then at the bottom there's a little box for you to put the number in. You put the number in, and instantly it produces, the one that I did, there was 6 options of what they consider almost identical. It won't be identical because DMC doesn't put out 2 numbers of the exact same. But you can actually look at the colors they've got there, refer to your chart, and see if one of those is a logical substitute for what you actually didn't get your hands on. Save yourself a trip, and honestly, I don't think that you can tell which color I substituted in my dragon. So I have run that across, and of course it will be in the description below. I try to be as complete as I possibly can with my description box. I aim to include all of the Flosstubers I mention, as well as every project, so that you can look them up should you be interested. I have noticed that there are a few more Flosstubers who are hunting for stained glass full coverages now, and I actually quite enjoy being an enabler. Okay, oh, there it is. So the Quaker Flag 2024 sale is in full swing. Vivsters on Etsy has created many flags of the world to be stitched. As long as at least 2 people request a flag, she will make it. Vivian, you are absolutely amazing. Now, I have chosen to stitch with sulky thread so that I can do 1 strand, and I'm using what they call a 35 count linen that is opalescent. Now, there are over 600 stitches in each Quaker. So that means that with my total of 2,017 stitches so far, I have 3 Quakers and a little bit of my 4th Quaker. Let's see if I can get this. I've still got a huge piece of material here. There we go. So I'm pleased with my choice of maroon between my reds. Each of the Quakers is a completely different design. Now, I do know that for sure we would be able to, if we wanted, do this in reverse and stitch what is the Quaker and not the background on a different piece of fabric, and voila, I've got more Quaker ornaments, don't I? So now that I've gotten used to this linen, I am finding that I can go a bit quicker, but I have to say, sewing method is not your friend with something that I think has been mislabeled. Tonight, I'm actually going to get out a ruler and try to figure out how many stitches per inch there really is, because I feel like it isn't 35 threads. I think it is more, and that these are smaller stitches. These are full X's. But it's great fun. My goal is 1 per week, and we'll see how long that takes. I haven't counted the amount of Quakers on my pattern, so I don't know how many weeks that is. It is probable that there's at least 50. My Back to School Sal continues on with my Sharova Creations stained glass owl. Sharova Creations is on Etsy. Last time I wanted to get the eye in. This time I wanted there to be a beak. And I wanted a few more chest feathers because I now have some dense stitching at the top and I need to go down. So I'm not necessarily going to be able to just automatically go to the other eye next week because I want to get it all the way to the bottom. I am absolutely thrilled. Let's see if I can sit back enough. So here's his beak. The whole horn is in. You can see I got a bigger, was it that one? Yeah, I think it was this one. Feather in, and I have started on this one. It doesn't even look like it's hidden, but it's a dark, dark blue. But I was doing this one this week, and so I want to actually go all the way down here. So next week it will be feathers and bringing this to the bottom of the curve of the stained glass window. I am so pleased. Very vibrant. Now the stitching is not difficult. I'm stitching with 1 thread of DMC on 20 count charcoal Aida. And it's just that it's a great pattern. It has nothing to do with me. So, where am I with regards to stitches? Well, I have over 70,000 stitches in now. And I'm at 43.8%. I'm so excited. I do not think I'll get to 50% by the end of this month. Even with, in Ontario, we have March break in about a week's time. if the weather continues as it is and it's warm, my husband and I are going to want to start to walk outside because I am a fair weather gal. So we'll see where that goes, but I am truly excited. Speaking of walking, I have taken up Sarah's suggestion of Sarah's stitching spot and made sure that I am doing steps before stitches. So I don't know, I call it a New Year's resolution, but I'm a little hesitant to do that in case I break it. I just want it to be a lifestyle choice, that 6 days out of 7, I am on the treadmill before 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'm watching my favorite Flosstubers, sometimes old movies, sometimes TV shows. But my goal for January and February was 60 kilometers in the month. In January, I was slightly short, but in February, I got there. I got to 61.9. So, of course, that means in March, I've upped it to 65 kilometers. And I want to thank the Forest City Stitcher for the inspiration to get back on the treadmill. I used to do, my old goal used to be 10K per day. I was younger then and faster. But movement is movement, and it's amazing how therapeutic it is for me. Okay, and now some starts. Well, this week there's not really a lot of starts. So far, I have this. So in the challenge for the magazine monthly challenge, the overall theme is bird's eye view, and I decided that I will do a tiny town because the birds can be flying over top of those houses and they just see little houses. I haven't decided which one because I still have harvest, honey, and Valentine's that I have not done, so I've got 3 to pick from, and I must admit there is more that were just released this past weekend at Nashville that I think are pretty. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but in the acrostic, the word is hot air balloon, and the L, and there's 2 of them in balloons, I'm calling, using the word littles, of waxing moon design. And this is the framework. This is how wide it's going to be. So there's 7 bumps across each direction. So I'm going to make 2 or 3 of these frames, and then I will decide which of the waxing moon littles that I'm going to do. But that was really my only start. Next time there will be more starts because we will be celebrating Elizabeth's birthday on March the 9th of Savory Sewing, starting Una Owl, and I will also be starting my Jacob Sleeper Cell. Now, I still haven't decided which one. Probably the peacock will be done first, and it's highly probable that it will be done on a fabric that I picked up recently. I did a little trip to Evertote. I had put in an order for 2 pieces of material and some floss. So I purchased some Cloud 20 count Aida. And this one is called Mountain Jewel, and it's 28 count. I bought this to do 1/1. I just thought that that was a gorgeous color, and they weren't sure whether they were going to be making this a permanent choice or not, so I wanted to grab it while they had a few pieces left. So what I did when I was putting in my order is I picked out some colors of floss and they kitted it up so that I would have this beautiful deep aqua color, maybe it's jade. For my peacock, I've got some leaves. This pink can be a flower. This isn't showing well. This is a deep, deep purple, which could be beautiful on the pink. So we'll see where all of that goes, but I do expect to have a couple of starts for the next time. I did accomplish a restart. Where is this? Last time I did not want to show you my work on this pattern because I had become frustrated. And I had discovered that if I found my inner owl and followed Contented Needleworker Kim and just started omitting a few things and repositioning, that I would be just fine. I also decided I was going to do it on a smaller count. So that 20 count cloud that I purchased is actually the beginning. Now this doesn't look like much yet, but it is farther than I actually had the last one. So you can actually see that I will have bluebells from here, fewer leaves, and this is my blue jay over here. I've got a bit of his white tummy and black is in there. There is one bit of blue in there, just barely seen. So I am pleased now. I will be able to make a piece that is about this big and have this for doing my peacock. Now, I'm not going to say for sure that it's going to be the peacock though, because I'm going to actually do a floss toss and place the colors of Roxy Floss Co. Floss on the different kinds of material I have and see what I think I'm going to do. Now, that peacock is also going to be stitched by Sew Me Sarah, and we'll have to see how different these two end up looking. I am likely behind the times. After all, I'm a dinosaur, but I was watching Cross My Stitches, and Jackie commented that Keep Notes on Android tablets actually do a similar thing to Good Notes in Apple devices. And as such, I thought, oh, that's cool. And I went to my store on my Android and I couldn't find it. I thought, wow, that's weird. But then I discovered it was already loaded. It came with my tablet. I don't actually have to pay a monthly fee, which is now what you have to do with Good Notes. So I am going to start saving my PDF patterns into my Keep Notes, and I will be able to catalog my PDFs much more easily by naming them there than having them in my laptop and forgetting what I have. So my tablet is actually primarily for my stitching, for Pattern Keeper, and as such, that means that there's a fair amount of memory available. So I'm pleased. Thank you, Jackie. I have found some more first-time Flosstubers to share with you. I think that when you actually watch a first-time Flosstuber and watch them all the way through, that then YouTube seems to give you more of those as they come along. Amy Michelle is a homeschooling mom who has flowing clarity in her very first presentation. She engaged me for the whole video. I think she's worth a listen and a watch. Yes, her YouTube channel is her name. The Swinny Switch Effect, or the Swiney Switch Effect, I think it's Swinny Switch Effect, is a channel with Cory, who is a seasoned stitcher. She started her cross stitching with the stamped kits and has gradually included more counted cross stitch and thought, I think I can do a floss tube, and she is right. She has a large list of works in progress that will entertain everyone. Laura from Butterfly Stitches is already known for her cotton and clay company that produces needle minders and other cross-stitch accessories. So she owns that company, and I believe she does videos and posts on Instagram for cotton and clay, but she's now doing Flosstube for Butterfly Stitches. She does show a variety of designers, and all with a lovely British accent that I like to listen to. And I think that brings us to our moment for music. Today we are revisiting a composer I have done before, Glier, Reinhold Glier. This time I am playing Arietta, and if you heard the word aria in there, you are correct. Now we know that an aria is a solo in an opera by one of the main characters, and that the job of an aria is to convey emotion. An arietta is simply a small aria, and here my melody is played as if it's floating along on the voice. There is something called tempo rubato included, which means this is not a metronomic performance. It is felt from the heart. This particular piece I played when I was, wow, I didn't stop to think about this. I'd say I was 10 when I performed this piece in a festival and earned a trophy with it. Yeah, I think I was 10. So here is Arietta by Glier. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, and a hello from my husband before we go to, yes, this is how he dances. We tried ballroom dancing. No. Let's just say I kept leading because I feel the beat so strongly, and my husband was not given music lessons, and as such, yeah, we had one round of ballroom dancing and then it was done. Here is Arietta. And again, the time has flown by, and I find that it is time for me to be saying goodbye. I hope you found something that you like and that you will be comfortable pressing the like button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribing. It does mean so much to me. I do plan to have another giveaway at 750 subscribers. I'm going to tell you that no matter how hard I tried, Caroline of Evertote would not accept any money for the prize that was given out when I reached 500. So I have convinced her that at 750, it's on me. And I volunteer to help her pop together the Advent envelopes, because I know it's a big undertaking, and indeed I actually have pre-purchased one of those myself, and I will have fun with it next December. It is a true privilege for me to have this time to speak with you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on my stitching journey. I hope that you have been enjoying every stitch that you have made, and that as you make something beautiful, you make yourself happy. Bye-bye for now.